Hey everyone, my name is Nate Tinbite, and this year on your current SMOB. Thank you all for being patient and for waiting a few more minutes. Today we are having a live Q&A on current student issues with myself and Deputy Superintendent Dr. McKnight. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Monifa McKnight, proud Deputy Superintendent of Montgomery County Public Schools, and I am thrilled to have some time today to talk with you about things that you are experiencing, facing, and have questions about. So thank you, Nate, for inviting me.
No problem. So as the board has just made some big decisions right now on grading and reporting, that's a big topic that's been brought up amongst students. I've had a lot of messages that are brought up by students just wanting more clarification on what the board approved on grading and reporting, what their transcripts would look like. So are you able to break that down for the viewers that are watching?
Sure, absolutely. So students, as you know, on May 12th, which was last week, the board made a decision on calculating semester grades, and that was to be able to resolve any incompletes that students had in marking period 3, and to focus attention and efforts on supporting students passing in the marking period 4, to earn either a pass or a letter grade for the semester. So just to talk through this, to give you some examples, let's start with marking period 3. So for middle and high school students, with the exception of seniors, they will be able to resolve any remaining grades of incomplete that they received in the 3rd marking period by submitting remaining work. So we know how important that is to be able to stay in contact and make sure all of that work is being submitted. This is important because resolving these incompletes is what can raise your grades for marking period 3. So middle and high school students have until May 29th to do this. So I'm going to repeat that as May 29th to do this. And so if these grades are not resolved by this time, all of the incompletes will be automatically changed to the grade that the student had as of March 13th, including E's. So remember, March 13th is the day that we continue to fall back on, because that was the last day that we were physically in the buildings and wanted to be able to honor the work that students had done up to that point, so that they were not being exposed in some way if an online platform was something that was difficult to adjust to. So that covers things for everyone except the seniors. Now let's talk about the seniors for a moment. With seniors, they were provided with 10 school days to complete work from marking period 3 to change the incomplete to a letter grade. So at this point, any senior who have not completed remaining work to resolve the incomplete for a course that they are failing now, have the incomplete converted to an E. This allows schools to be able to mobilize and focus all efforts on supporting seniors to make sure you pass marking period 4, and therefore would be able to earn a credit in the course that's required for graduation. So again, for seniors, it's really important to focus in on marking period 4. And so for any senior who ended up with a 3 in marking period, an E in marking period 3, we know who you are. We have your names on a list, and those are the students who we are really working with on a case management perspective in marking period 4 to make sure we get you where you need to be. So in fact, information is being sent this week about the choice process in which students will be able to select a grade, a letter grade, or a pass for high school courses. It's also important to note that students who have a D or E in marking period 3 and an incomplete for marking period 4 will receive an incomplete for the semester. So students who receive an incomplete for the semester will have continued opportunities to earn a passing grade during the summer and throughout the learning recovery period. So I just wanted to highlight that, because essentially we look at that as the worst case scenario. And so we've extended the time even beyond that to be able to work with students who are struggling to meet the requirements.
Great.
So cover like enough examples, Nate?
Yeah, I think so. One thing that I usually use to explain to students is that if you've received an A, B, C, D, or E 3rd quarter, and you meet the measures that we put out, we sent that through to student emails and have sent that out to teachers for a pass for quarter 4. then you get the choice of a letter grade up or a pass. And so have we created a system yet for students who are, once they pass this quarter, are they able to make the choice through their teachers, or is that something that's still in the discussion right now? And if students don't choose, is there a discussion on what will happen with that?
Actually, I'm happy to report we're past the discussion part of that, and actually are just initiating it. So we were trying to think about the best way to be able to do that. So students will receive guidance actually starting next week to the actual system, but it's going to be like a menu where students are able to go in and be able to select it. And that allows us to be able to provide the resource of technology to be able to have the best way to track that. And we would be able to have a system that covers the selection of all students so that we can actually go back and use it as data to see how many students actually chose this option, so that can inform future discussions moving forward.
Sure. Are you able to talk about the middle school grading structure a little bit as well? Right.
So what I talked about really covered in some ways middle school as well, because so for the thing that was similar for middle and high school students, it was that, again, resolving any remaining incompletes for third quarter really was the main issue, because that actually for middle school students will be able to go into the calculation of the average that we're giving for them for fourth marking period. So for middle school students, the biggest thing for them to know is that they have until, like the high school students, until May 29th to be able to resolve those. And until then, they'll also get an incomplete. But for middle school, we're essentially calculating the average and want to make sure that marking period 3 doesn't put them in an awkward space to have a decent average. So.
Sure. Great. One student asked, we know that the school year is closed, or we know that schools are closed for the rest of the school year. Has there been any decision on summer classes, summer activities? Has that all been closed down as well?
This is why I love talking to students. Right on time with your questions. I love it. So actually, yes, I was just talking to a parent group about that yesterday. So we're now looking at, or have been looking at all the courses over the years that have been most popular for summer, and looking at that along with some other data sources are determining which ones we're going to finalize to be able to put out for students within the next week or two, to be able to see these will be the menu of courses that we're offering. And of course, we are looking at, having those courses on the online platform, because given the stay-at-home order, of course, Montgomery County has not been lifted from that. And we still have to make sure that we have all the provisions in place before we have those in-person interactions. So keep your eyes out within the next week or two, because that menu of summer courses will be coming out, and that will be for all levels, so that students will be able to look and see what's going to be offered. And we're also looking at making sure we provide the options for students who, may need credits to may end up extending graduation into August as well. So
great.
Will be coming.
Sounds good. I had a few seniors who've reached out to me just asking questions regarding graduation. I know a few of us have senioritis, so we haven't really checked our emails as much, but what are the updates that MCPS has sent out to seniors regarding graduation, or any of that end of the year events that are coming up?
Sure. So graduation, and I don't know who tuned in to the big graduation ceremony that was done this weekend, but that actually got me even
nice
excited. Did you, Nate? Did you watch
it?
Yeah,
I did. It was
yeah, really cool, and got me excited just even more about thinking about the fact that we have got to push ourselves to a whole, and are pushing ourselves at a whole nother level of creativity to make sure we honor you, our students, for all the work that you have done over years, and just know that that's really personal to us and important. As a matter of fact, I have a daughter who lives in Philadelphia who was graduating on June 10th. And, she just sent out a text to us today saying, hey, it's going to be virtual. And I said, hey, we will have a watch party, because it's about that support. And we don't want you all to feel as though you are missing out on such a celebratory event. And so I just first have to say, we take this very personal, and we care for you, and we appreciate all of the feedback that you gave to us to let us know what was important to you and what was on your mind. So with that said, we acknowledge that graduation is very important to you all, as it signifies an important milestone in your lives. And while COVID-19 has made some adjustments for that, it is not going to stop us at all from celebrating the accomplishments of all of our seniors in the class of 2020. So we're going to do that with a virtual graduation. We have outlined a structure that provides consistency in the graduation ceremonies for our high schools. So we're going to have a virtual graduation, school graduation, but MCPS will also have a, well, actually, let me back up for a second. MCPS is actually going to have a large virtual universal graduation with a keynote speaker for the entire class of 2020. Following that, there's going to be the individual virtual graduations. That is an opportunity to be able to personalize and capture the traditions of each of the schools. So for the individual school virtual graduations, the ceremony will be similar to an in-person graduation as much as possible. The flow of the program is going to include the principal welcoming students as they normally do, and families and sharing their well wishes. And we're going to have one or two students, as we normally do in a regular graduation, address the senior class. Our Board of Education members are certainly going to be there and be able to share their sentiments, and the board member scheduled to preside over the individual graduation ceremony will be acknowledging the graduates as we would have done in person. So each graduate will be recognized in a student slideshow that shows the student's name, their senior portrait, which I've had a chance to see some of, and great portraits this year, as always, or any similar pictures. And so one of the most exciting things I remember from my graduation was the tassel turn. And schools will have a virtual tassel turn or short selfie videos of students turning their tassels to acknowledge that really important part of a graduation ceremony as well. So schools are also going to be able to have pictures and videos of students tossing their caps and celebrating with their families before we end the graduation with our closing song and recessional features, which will include a variety of images from the class of 2020. So again, we just wanted to outline and look at what are the important parts of the graduations that have already existed over time that we wanted to make sure we capture as best as we could. And so that just what I explained represents a lot of that. So looking forward to having the school songs and musical selections and mascots and campus landmarks, all of those great things to make it as personal as possible. And schools also may have like inspiring staff, alumni, or anyone who is highly recognized or wants to or should have a leadership role in that community, that school, provide encouraging words in the graduation ceremony as well. And so, of course, with previous graduations, we're also going to have special award recognitions or scholarships earned by the class of 2020, as we have always done. So those are just some general things that we have included in the outline of what you should expect for your graduation ceremonies. And while it will not be the exact same as being in person and not that experience, know that we've tried to think about ways to personalize it in the most meaningful way to you. And of course, in the student survey, get feedback saying that students would desire to be able to capture that real life personal graduation experience at a later time. And in the survey, students talked about doing it later in the summer. But again, I'll say it's very hard to anticipate that, knowing that even in Montgomery County, we're still at the stay-at-home order. But we are definitely, we heard you and are open to coming back and doing those graduations at a later time if that is what you still desire to do, so that we can honor your request.
Great. No, that sounds good. I'm happy that you broke that down for us. Another question.
I know, you saw excited I am about it, Nate.
Yeah, I know you had the full layout, and I really do appreciate that. Another question that was brought up is more towards instruction. That question is there a remediation process next year for students who lost core instructional time? Is that being discussed right now as well?
Yes. So we are actually planning or have been working with our schools to look at student assessments and really in collaboration with our teachers, pull some of the student work and really look at what work can we pull from that is guided by the curriculum and other things that will tell us who the students were who were most impacted by not being able to make a positive transition to this online platform of learning. And so we will continue to look at those data sources to help us determine who those students are. And we're actually doing personal invitations into the summer recovery program based on that data.
Great, sounds good. And on that same topic, another question that was brought up that's sort of similar is, what's the system doing to minimize the impact of the pandemic on rising seniors? So more specific towards those students. And the rest of the question says, as we all know, students are missing out on many opportunities, including internships and extracurricular programs. So are there any discussions around this as well?
Right, so in terms of the internships and things like that, of course, we develop many of those partnerships with companies and organizations that allow us those opportunities. And in Montgomery County, we are all navigating the same thing. So many businesses or companies are not able to extend those internships in the way that they were before due to the current health guidance. But we are continuing to stay in contact with those partners, because when we are able to transition into more personable opportunities, we want to pick up where we left off. And while some of those interactions may look a bit different based on how we have to change things due to the health guidance, we're willing to do that, but we still want to keep those partnerships, to keep those internships in areas that we've identified that are valuable for our students and valuable to the county overall and the desired workforce. The first part of your question.
It was, what is the system doing to minimize the impact of the pandemic on rising seniors?
Yes, thank you. So even as an example, as we went through and talked about the grading and reporting system, and we talked about what we needed to do for seniors this year, at the same time, we were actually finding ourselves having the exact same discussion about juniors, because juniors are really getting themselves prepared for college applications and things like that. And that led us into even having conversations with universities and other partners to say, you know, for students who have been impacted by this beyond this year, what are your plans? So we actually took our juniors and other students in mind when we asked those questions, because we actually had to think about what's the impact right now that needs to be considered, but what do we also need to consider for our juniors and students after that. So that's why we're doing things like signifying a COVID-19 year on the transcripts to make sure that is clear and available to those who may have questions. We formalized like our process around giving students choice, just to talk about the interest and the impact of COVID, so that doesn't end up being a barrier for any of our students who are graduating the next year. So the example that I gave was grading and reporting, but in pretty much all of our discussions as we're thinking about things moving forward, we have to think about every class after our senior class and how they're being impacted. So
great. Switching the topic, meal distribution. I heard we broke a big number. Are you able to talk about that?
Yes. Again, it speaks to how amazing our system is. So as of yesterday, believe it or not, oh my God. So we have been able to serve 2,023,091 meals to our students as of yesterday. What a gigantic, yes, what a gigantic number, and a number to be proud of, because I mean, I just think about in a crisis, we were able to pull together and make sure we identify the things that could get in the way of our community continuing to thrive. And food is a basic essential. And so being able to expand even over the months of extending those meals beyond 2 meals to 3 meals, you know, and supper and things, we're very, very proud of. And most importantly, just show the interest in our commitment to making sure our students have everything they need to be able to thrive and continue to be students who are prepared to learn and supported in ways outside of the school system. So kudos to our food and nutrition office, our transportation office, to a lot of people who've been a part of this. And I have my son who just came in and is clapping. Because it's really important.
Yeah. Going back to graduation, so one student asked, would the whole school be able to access the individual graduation ceremony for the school? So
Yeah.
if I'm a student, ninth grader, 10th grader, will I be able to access the graduation ceremony?
Yes, I believe it's going to be open because the thing about virtual is, you know, we are
You
able
can
to put,
actually,
yeah,
yeah.
and we don't have to actually limit, which is what we do sometimes when it's in person. So that's actually, I guess, a plus in this whole situation that does work out positively.
Great. Another one on that topic was, will eighth graders be have a sort of similar type of promotion ceremony, or is that still being discussed right now?
So we're really leaving much of that discussion up to our
Cool.
schools, our individual school buildings, because there's such a wide variety in ways in which they've acknowledged students at the end of the year, and they have done promotion ceremonies, or it's just lots of different ways. It's the variance there is much wider than our graduation ceremonies. And so we've definitely encouraged creativity and support our schools looking to acknowledge their eighth grade students in a variety of different ways. And as a former middle school principal, I absolutely get it, because it was definitely a time of year that we were excited about, and acknowledging that our eighth graders are moving on to high school.
Great. And the final question that popped up, are there, and this is definitely a question everybody is asking, are there any contingency plans in the works for 2020-2021 school year? If quarantine still continues and persists, are there discussions around that happening?
Yes, there are continued discussions around that, and it will be just, I mean, this is a reality that we just don't know when it will norm. So just to give you some examples of how we're planning for it. So as you know, we do have some extended year schools who will serve as great models for us to think about how we transition back in for everyone in the fall. With the recovery plan that we put in place in the summer, we're planning to run that on 2 tracks, and thinking about if we're able to have some, if we're able to, based on health guidance, able to bring in smaller groups of students, what that would look like with health protocols and social distancing and things like that. So we're planning for that, along with having those online platforms. And the other piece we're planning for, and we're mapping all the particulars out about this over the next few weeks, along with many students and community stakeholders and parents and everyone else, is, as we know, this virus, it may be time before we get a vaccine, in which we have to navigate outbreaks that we didn't expect to happen. And so we're also planning for, if we do transition back into a brick and mortar model, what we will do if there are hot cases that pop up and we have to shut down a school or a partial part of the system, already having a code system, whether that's code blue or whatever it is, in place, so that everyone knows exactly what they're doing if that happens. So we're planning for every possible circumstance. And thanks to March through June, we've become pretty good about that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy.
About lessons learned.
Seriously, thank you for all of that work. And do you have anything else that you'd like to bring up? Any other notes that you'd like to send out to students currently in this time?
Just that you guys have been amazing, and I tell you, you are the best part of our work. You really are. We would not be here if it were not for you, our students, and the care and concern we have about what your experiences are is what makes us sleep sound or stay up at night, whatever it may be, because that's very personal to us. And so every time we put out a survey or ask for your feedback, I want you guys to continue to participate in that. And we'll probably put more surveys out as it relates to planning for the recovery and engaging you. Please engage, because it's very difficult to plan for the experience that the end user desires to have if we don't have the end user's perspective. And so you can plan all day, but nothing replaces your priority and your perspective. And I want us to always continue to honor that in everything that we do. So I will say simply, you are amazing. We love you guys. Hang in there. You have been just awesome in the way that you've handled this. And we wish you well, and continue to stay in contact with us and let us know if there's anything that we should consider moving forward.
Yeah, thank you so much. And on that note of student engagement, today's a big day. Today is the SMOB election.
Yes.
Professor. There's no lame duck period with SMOBs, but basically, I hope students, you're able to head over to your student emails. It literally takes no more than 2 minutes, or honestly, I voted in a minute today. For your next SMOB, they have a direct vote on all these policy making decisions at the top level. And as you mentioned, that student voice drives this this whole process around. And so I really do hope that students, you can vote today. The email from the SMOB election email and the Need to Know MCPS email has all the information regarding the candidates, regarding your sign-in, username and password for the ballot. And if you have any questions, you can email smobelection@mcpsmd.org. So really, I hope students can take away the key points that you brought up today. I hope these big topics covered a lot of their questions that were brought up. And I hope that today they just vote. Dr. McKnight, I really appreciate you hopping on here. And I hope that next time, sometime in the next few weeks, we'd be able to have the next SMOB join along with us three, and we can have a conversation furthermore on more updates coming up with the school system.
And Nate, thank you for your leadership. You make this for me to be able to connect with students, again, which is one of the best parts of my job and my role. And so thank you for the leader that you have served as during your period, and especially during a time we've had to navigate such extenuating circumstances. So we appreciate you, and thank you.
I appreciate
us doing this again.
Time is up, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks all.